first quarter of 2020. We've got some other projects in the pipeline until that point, and then bringing it online about first quarter of 2021. Again, IMPA would be the builder. We design these in-house. I manage the land acquisition and permitting and equipment procurement. And we have our consulting engineer who's the IMPA service corps. Then we have a daily construction manager, Brant Construction, and they're over all the solar parks that are currently under construction here in Crawfordsville and Darlington area. And then we would be interconnected with Phil's system. That's right there on 150 South. So all of the power that would be produced at this solar park will stay here locally within Crawfordsville. Again, we size all these solar facilities so that they are lower, their output is lower than any point of Crawfordsville's consumption. And then again, you've seen this before. This is just the typical development process. So we're in that first row right now. We are under a purchase agreement, looking at planning and zoning if anything needs to be done there. We're here before you today for the tax abatement request. And then once we got started with construction in 2020, we would prep the ground. This property is really pretty flat, so there wouldn't be a lot of grading. Pop in the fence and the posts, which if you're driving along I-74 Memorial Drive, you'll see those going up to give you a point of reference. And we'll put the panels on, and then that's the hard work begins where we start pulling a ton of cable, and then we commission it and have it generated into Crawfordsville system. The basis for the abatement request, again, our mission is to provide low-cost, reliable, environmentally responsible power to our member communities, including Crawfordsville and the other communities here in Montgomery County, which there are quite a few. So anything that we can do to reduce our costs is a direct benefit to those electric ratepayers. And all of the rates are recovered by the ratepayers, so again, anything that we can do to reduce our costs is to their benefit. And that third bullet point just highlights that even though we're not for profit, we under statute have to make payments of taxes for all of our generation and transmission assets. And at this point, the investment estimate for the solar park is $15 million, which I'll get into what that equates to as far as annual property tax abatement payments in the next slides. And about 25 jobs, but that could actually be more given the size of this facility during the construction time, and then also purchasing of local supplies, tools, whatever we need during that period, and then also using folks from around this area. We've used Macola for a lot of our excavation work in the Bainbridge, so not too far away from here. And so at this point, yeah, the tax abatement would be for all of the machinery and the equipment, not the land. This would just be a personal property tax abatement request. We're looking to pay $262,000 over the course of the abatement period, and that's afterwards it'd be a $58,000 annual tax abatement payment. One other thing to highlight, I kind of calculated all of our investments just on the solar side of things here in the county, and with our solar parks already generating under construction and projected construction, we've made a $44 million investment here in the county. So we're looking to pay about $270,000 annually in abatement, tax abatement payments once the abatements fall off. So pretty substantial investment just in that. We've made other investments as IMPA in Crawfordsville and other communities. These are just some photos of some solar parks just to give you kind of a sense of what this size could look like. We just finished this solar park in Richmond in December, so it's right along I-70, but right at the Indiana-Ohio border. That's 7.44 megawatts. The next slide is Peru at 3 megawatts. It's a little bit more rectangular, which is what you can expect from this site as opposed to that Richmond one. Has some crazy lines running through it. And then Rensselaer, we just finished this one as well. And I like this picture just given that it's a lot closer to some other residential type uses. So we've built several at this point, more in our communities. This one is obviously more of the agricultural base. And this slide just really summarizes everything that I've talked about here so far. Local renewable energy resource, that all the power would stay within Crawfordsville's electric distribution system. It's a stable, low-cost power supply that will enter into IMPA's wholesale power supply. It helps keep our rates low into the future. We've been able to add these solar facilities since 2014, and over the past 3 years, partially due to the solar parks and partially due to other great decisions that our board has made over the past 35 years that it's been in existence, we've actually decreased rates about 7.25% over those 3 years. So we are able to build these resources very cost effectively and pass along the benefits to our members as far as rates. And also another investment in our member community. We've got coal resources in Gibson County, Indiana, and Kentucky and Illinois. We really wanted to bring these facilities home to our communities so you all could gain from the tax revenue and then also from the renewable resource since it would all be staying local. It's a forward-thinking approach. Crawfordsville is going to be, I think, the solar capital of Indiana with all of our facilities that are going in, which is really exciting. We hear constantly from companies wanting to either invest new or expansion in communities that they're always looking for renewable resources. And Crawfordsville and Montgomery County can certainly say that they have that. And we also try to be visible renewable resources. I know this area out by Nucor has been kind of pegged for maybe some economic growth. So any businesses that might be looking out that way would have this in their backyard. And also speaking of backyard, I will say that we've worked with some of the adjacent landowners, the farmer in particular, and gotten along with them with this land. And then going forward, community education and involvement opportunities, we're always open to have clubs or schools or what have you come and visit our solar parks and teach about having this renewable resource here in your community. So that's all my slides I have filled here in case you'd like to add anything or if there's any questions.
We came a long way in 5 years, Terry. I remember when you were commissioner, we did our first 3 megawatts on county property. So we were able to put them back on the taxes where it belonged. And we built those smaller 5 years ago because we didn't want to raise rates. Now we're to the point where we can install these in Crawfordsville, all our communities without raising rates. Plus the tax revenue stays right here. And we're not subject to grid charges going across the transmission grid. So this has worked out perfect for our communities. Being no profit, our rates are 20–25% lower than most Indiana utilities like the investor owns and the RMCs. So it's all about putting back into the community is what we're doing. So I thank you, Terry. First time around when we put that back on the taxes and also by the county jail, the commissioners approved those, and that's going in this year right now. They drove most of the stakes there. And 2 lots are in the Commerce Park, north of the interstate, and on this side of the interstate, one of them has a 4-acre pond in the middle of it. So it's not good for development, but it's perfect for solar. We can put solar about anywhere. So it's really worked out great for the community. By the time we get finished in the end of 2020, Crawfordsville might have 28 megawatts of solar. And a day like today, we're in the low 40s for our total load. So most of it in the sunshine, Monday through Friday, will be solar. And on a Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, with no industry running, we could be 80–90% solar in Crawfordsville. So we found we came a long way in 5 years, and the price continues to go down about 10% a year for the solar panels. So the Chinese embargoes and all the steel is U.S. steel, but some of the better panels come from Canada, but they're shipped from China. That's the bad part. But the panels go down 10% every year. The first one we built, Terry, was 330 watts a panel. Now they're so efficient, they're almost 400 watts a panel. They take up the same space. But the learning curves really worked really good for us, and by doing it in-house with IMPA, we've saved a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, I knew the efficiencies were increasing, that's great. Solar, and IMPA's going to guarantee sunshine in Montgomery County for
We hope.
life.
You know, I've seen it on cloudy, and when it's raining a little bit, we still get production. From those solar panels. So if we had 28 megawatts available on a sprinkly, drizzly day, we still could get 10, 15 megawatts coming out of those, even on cloudy days. In some ways, Indiana is pretty good for solar compared to Arizona that gets more sun because it gets too hot there and it degrades. When it gets 115 degrees, you don't get the production like in Indiana when it's 75, 80 degrees. We're more efficient at certain times of year.
Okay. I just had a couple more questions. How deep do the supports go?
So it kind of ranges. We do a geotech on the ground to see what the soil contents are, but on average, you're probably looking at a 6 to 8 embedment. If they're softer soils, we may have to go up to 10 feet embedments, but they're not concrete in it, they're just driven posts.
These are built and designed to last 40, 50, 60 years because IMPA wants to maintain ownership that long. They don't plan on building and selling or anything like that, so they build them to last 40, 50, 60 years. And after a 40-year period, these panels can be still 93% efficient. And pretty amazing how they don't deteriorate that quick. So that's why you have to buy the best panels out there. They're a 40-year panel.
Emily, could you describe to the council the steps that they would have to take and what comes now and what comes next?
Sure. So before you today is the declaratory resolution, which preliminarily would designate this as an economic revitalization area, and pending your approval of such resolution, I'd be back before you at your next council meeting, which would be the public hearing and the confirmatory resolution. And in between those two times, we would publish notice in the legal notice in the paper, and also we send out notice packages to the overlapping tax districts, like the school and the township trustee. I work with Jennifer on those.
I believe that area right now lies in the Carlsville 2-mile area of zoning. Have you guys gone to the city up for variance or anything, or is it zoned agricultural?
I believe it's agriculture, and this is utilities, so I don't know if I have to change anything or not.
We haven't had to in other instances like that. I'm trying to remember what my last conversation with Brandy was, if this was in the zoning fringe or not. We might just be on the outside of it, but I'll have to double check that.
I guess I would add that even though it was the 2-mile, it is inside the 2 miles. The 2 mile goes away after we implement our ordinances in the county. The comprehensive plan has said, our community has stated that it wants green energy. It's very supportive of green energy. It's not supportive of wind energy, but it's very supportive of green energy. And this does fall right in line with what people say they want to do.
Anybody else got any questions?
I'm not opposed to wind energy, or let me rephrase that. Look at that. I'm not opposed to solar energy at all. Yeah, that was a Freudian.
It's on the record. It's on the record.
And I'm not opposed to designating ERAs for areas that are specifically totally owned by the person requesting the ERA. I think the broad spectrum of ERAs across large areas is what I oppose as far as ERAs are concerned. But I think even according to your own bullet point chart of order of process, just slightly have the cart ahead of the horse by not having talked to the Crawfordsville zoning board and being presumptuous as John is that they'll all be okay when they get that done. That really needs to be, even in your own chart, the order was zoning, planning and zoning, and then tax abatement.
Well, so let me clarify that, so certainly. When I talked with Brandy there in the city office before, every other instance, when we are within the city's jurisdiction, it is a permitted use because we are a utility use. So that would be the same here. I've had some preliminary conversations with Greg about where we stood on the zoning ordinance and having the county not passed that yet. We don't really know what we would be bound by, but it's certainly something we would be flagging because I don't want to get into a position where we buy 80 acres of land and we can't build there. That would be problematic, but in all conversations so far, it looks like our use would be permitted.
Which is why I made my comment that the comprehensive plan is supportive of what they're trying to do, just not supporting the point of view.
Terry, I believe the county farm, we didn't have to change the zoning ordinance on that property because it's an electric municipal government utility. And I think that's the variance there. That's the issue there where you don't have to change it. I mean, if you're a corporate utility or an LLC, you would have to change it because we're a local utility and we have to build substations. We're not building a substation in this instance, just a solar park. But we don't have to change the zoning law to do that.
And also too, I'll say when I'm doing my due diligence, when we have a certain time under a purchase agreement, sometimes these things are moving at the same time. So I'm checking on zoning, we're checking preliminary drainage, or before you go to tax abatement, just because meetings and things hit at certain dates. So while that sheet shows things in a certain order, a lot of times there's quite a bit of overlap.
Thanks for that clarification on the variation of variable because you are a municipal or a power company. And I have called on a few people that live very close to there, and I won't say they were super excited, but they also felt like it would be, there could be worse neighbors, and it wouldn't be, that wouldn't decrease their property value in their opinion, and that they feel like they don't own the property, so it's, as long as it's not hurting them, that they're going to be okay with it. I didn't speak to everyone, but I did speak to several people that live very close to that, and so I feel comfortable that they're not opposed to it.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Before we move forward with anything, I talked to those neighbors also because we want to be good neighbors. And that was put up for sale. There could have been 60 homes in there. And this is like living next. I always say a solar park is the footprint 6 or 8 feet off the ground. That's all you see. You almost have to drive in front of it to see it. And it's like living next to a cemetery. You don't make any noise. There's no moving parts.
It's not scary.
It's not get rid of the scary part, right? But you might have one vehicle a month going in and out of there. But if you had 60 homes in there on that little road, that could be possible, you'd have a lot of traffic. I was surprised at the traffic that is on that road right now anyway. People get off of it, it's busy. So I know west of that, or east of that site, you know, some of that's shovel ready. So one neighbor I talked to, it's sort of like a buffer zone between you and what's going to go east.
Yeah, I talked to Randy Borden, and he wasn't excited about it. And you know, Randy, that's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, he even helped us and took a walk of the whole property, and he was very cordial. And he was worried about his property values, and whether solar causes property values to go up or down like wind. And he said his research never showed a lot of depreciation or anything for solar.
He said it really wouldn't affect his problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll note, it's Randy's, we've worked with him quite a bit, and he'll be farming this in the interim until we work developing it. So he's been really helpful because he knows the plan.
And I know he'll be pleased that you're not disturbing that waterway that runs through there. That was a big concern.
There's a lot of water flow, and that's a county water. We can only build 9.9 on that, so we shouldn't be encroaching too much on, I think it's a 100-foot easement. So if anybody needs to get through there and work on that county drain, there's plenty of room.
So, if I did the numbers right, you're looking for about $250,000 relief in taxes. There's 200, maybe, I think it was 260-some.
That's how much we would be paying over the abatement period.
After the abatement was $58,000 a year for 10 years, $580,000, so it's about 50%. What happens if we don't get that?
So at this point, if we don't get the tax abatement,
Yeah.
unsure of our ability to build. It's,
So $250,000 relief to the users of Crawfordsville Electric Light and Power is what you're offering, is replacing the tax revenue that the county's losing.
that would be one of the benefits, yeah.
And obviously, Crawfordsville Electric Light and Power doesn't go everywhere in the county, so
Right.
it's just in the city.
But I would say it would benefit the
You're
ratepayers of Wayne Darlington, New Ross, Ladoga. There are several of our member communities here in the county that we're all for one for all. So the benefits for this solar farm would help their
You can
rates
have
as
it both
well.
ways. You told me that power is going to go to Crawfordsville.
All the power just goes to Crawfordsville, but it's our wholesale power supply portfolio.
Okay.
So the benefits of this solar park benefit all of our
And you're
members.
telling me that if you don't get the abatement, that's a deal breaker.
Of a park this size, yeah, we would really have to go back and look at the economics of it. We've really been finding that the tax abatements have saved our solar parks quite a bit on the operation and maintenance side. After, outside of the capital budget and the ongoing expenses, the taxes have been a significant portion of our budget for all of our solar parks across the state. The tax abatements have gone a long ways, so it would definitely be something we'd have to look at to see if we would proceed with the solar park or not.
Maintenance on the ground, how does that work? When you can't have weeds growing in front of the solar panels.
No, so
is
we
it
have-
going to be stoned, and is it going to be chemical, is it mowed?
It's mowed,
And so you're going to hire contractors to do that?
correct.
You do that on all the facilities around the local contractors?
We use a lot of local contractors. I don't know exactly who we use for Crawfordsville. That's our operation and maintenance guy who handles all of that, but most of our solar parks, we use someone in the region. It just makes fiscal sense to do that. We like to use local and regional suppliers of those sorts of services.
Thank you.
I will say that it appears that all of their solar parks are very well maintained from what I've noticed.
One thing too, she was talking about what the abatement would be if they were paying taxes on the solar farm. But all we're losing is what the farm is paying, the landlord now, and that's probably only about $12,000 a year.
So
So we're only losing about $25,000 in taxes that we wouldn't be getting off of that. So long term, it's quite a benefit for the county.
that's an important note, Greg, because this land is assessed agricultural, but presumably after we would develop, it would be assessed at commercial or industrial type use, which would equate to higher real property taxes annually than what's currently gained on the land.
Anybody else? I guess I would entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we move to approve the IMPA solar park abatement on 150 South and 250 East, including the ERA designation and contingent on that they would be properly zoned by whatever entity ends up in charge of that acreage.
Okay, do I have a second for that? Don Wilson. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I'm gonna make one comment, I will be abstaining from voting because my real estate company represents the 80 acres, but I don't want to give property over, so I will not be able to vote. So just for everybody to know that.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Anybody else? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? 5-0, looks like.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in and really being detailed with your explanation. It helps a lot.
Oh, of course, and if there's any questions in the interim, please just feel free to reach out.
Okay, thanks. Looks like we have a Cartersville District Public Library Board appointment of Lucy Brooks. I'm assuming that request came from the library.
It did, yeah. The appointment is for a 4-year term that's going to run from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2023. And she is currently serving in that position,
Okay,
secretary.
I would entertain a motion to approve this.
I move to approve the appointment for Lucy Brooks for the library board.
Second. Great, second. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. And now we're ready for the sheriff to enlighten us on some.
Good morning again. I passed out the brochure, I think in front of everybody's seat before the meeting started. As most of you are aware, this is an issue we've been fighting for about 6 months now, if not longer. We're having an issue with suspects, inmates smuggling stuff into the jail. Secured, placed in their bodies that we're just not able to obviously detect when they come in. Whether they know that they're coming to jail that day, or whether they're on a traffic stop and they have time to put these things in places that aren't commonly searched. It's an issue. We've had 5 known cases within the jail where drugs have gotten inside. Now, most of these we've been alerted to. Those are 5 that we know about. So who knows how many we don't know about, but it's an issue. We had a jail, a neighboring county, a week and a half ago. They almost got a small caliber handgun back inside the jail. It was in booking. They maintained it in booking for quite a bit of time, and then it was finally detected before it made its way back into the population. So drugs are one thing. A handgun in population, I don't need to explain what kind of mess that's going to create for all of us, namely me. I realize I'll be at the top of that, but I'll be joined by all of you on that lawsuit. So we've searched 3 different models. The Tech 84 model that's presented to you, Tippecanoe County Community Corrections recently purchased that. The Chief Deputy and Jail Commander and I recently went up there 2 weeks ago, looked at that model, and we think it's everything that we need. It's a small, compact model. It's movable. It's not bolted to the floor. It's not bolted to the walls. It's small, so we have some maneuverability where we can place that back in an intake, and there's no moving parts. The other 2 that we've looked at, one has a moving belt, so that would require the inmate to stand on this belt and be literally moved through the machine, which is not a good thing when people come to jail. And the other one was just so big that we were gonna have to redo our intake area, and take out that, essentially that horseshoe area, and then add some lead or lead-proof glass, to the top of that to prevent those waves from interfering with the holding cells. This one's pretty much self-contained. It is what it is. And we feel that's the best benefit. The cost on that, I've included. That's their GSA contract price. I'd be happy to answer any other questions that anybody might have.
Lease wasn't,
Their lease is 4.5%. It's about $3,000 a month with a dollar buyout, but that's 4.5% government leasing.
How soon could they have you up and running with it? Looks like pretty much an install and plug-in kind of.
It is. I mean, it's a 110 plug-in. They said 4 to 6 weeks. If we said order today, it would be here within 6 weeks of order today.
were you have to pay for the annual cost for the warranties?
I have not. I would, that would be included in the 2020 budget request.
Back last December. You said back last December, I think the council pretty much agreed that this is something that's coming down the pipe. With the sheriff's office.
It is needed, unfortunately. I mean, I hate to spend the money on this, but through investigations, we've learned that some people had planned on bringing stuff into jail. I think Hendricks County, Tiffany County, and Boone County have these. We've taken a couple people in Hendricks County jail. We picked them up, believing that they would have stuff in them, and transported them to that jail, got them scanned, and then brought them back to our jail. The longer we have that person in transportation, in the car, it's just an increased liability. And it's not real feasible for, the road deputies to be running the counties next door and then running back. So we certainly feel as though it would be a benefit, and help keep stuff out of the jail.
You're looking to buy, you want to purchase this, right?
I would certainly like to.
So we need to do an appropriation, like the river road.
We would, it depends on where you want to do it, but yeah, most everything you would need to advertise an appropriation because there's not a budget line sitting anywhere that I know of. That you were planning to use. So we'd have to appropriate money into a budget line